Save your clapping for when it matters. Back to the matter at hand, the latest Biden scandal. And it's not about Hunter or his junk. This is about Joe's brother, Jimbo, and I hope to God it has nothing to do with his junk. I've seen enough of the Biden physique to paint it nude from memory in an art class. The Daily Mail reports Joe's younger brother, Jim, I think he's only 98, he was hired to negotiate with the Saudis over a secret $140 million deal only because his big bro was Veep at the time. Affidavits, whatever those are, reveal that in 2012, Jimbo was hired to negotiate with the Saudis on behalf of an American construction company because of his relationship with Joe. No one would, quote, dare stiff the brother of the VP who would be instrumental to the deal. After all, the only stiff in that family is Joe, or Hunter after a handful of his favorite blue pills. Apparently, Jim was brought in to help broker a payout between the Saudi kingdom and the firm after the Saudis didn't pay up for work it had done in the 80s. Funny, this seems like this could have been handled on People's Court. Would have been nice to see Biden on a show besides the Muppets. Jim reportedly said he was often sent to meetings to represent the company because, of course, the name didn't hurt. To which Joe asked, what's so great about the name Jim? Of course, that good old Biden family name didn't hurt, so why not spread it around? Well, unless you're the forgotten baby girl of a stripper knocked up by Hunter, then it's guarded like an alien's underpants in Area 51. So here's yet another instance of the Bidens trading on their money, power, and influence based on their family name, just like Chris Wallace. I don't know where that came from. But they should just start a business, right? Out in the open. The motto, when you're doing the bidding, make it a Biden. But it's like I told Bill Hemmer when he walked in on me trying on his shorty robe. I don't believe in coincidences. If memory serves me correctly, and it doesn't, Jim Biden and his wife are also facing scrutiny for alleged involvement in Hunter's multi-million-dollar deal with a Chinese oil company, a deal under investigation by the feds. The Biden's shady business dealings are becoming more common than spy balloons, train derailments, and collapsing athletes combined. And the GOP-led House Oversight Committee apparently will include this as part of their investigation into the family. And those investigations are worth seeing through to the end, because clearly the family only cares about money if it's theirs. Because when the Bidens aren't screwing strippers, they're screwing the whole country. For years, Joe has spouted off in speeches about how much he cares about the middle class, but under his watch, they continue to get screwed. From inflation to student loans, it's the people Joe claims to care about the most who end up footing the bill of his own ineptitude. According to the Bureau of Labor Stats, eggs are up 70% compared to a year ago, which means a 3-egg omelet is probably now more expensive than a happy ending. And that's without your choice of toppings. It just doesn't make sense. But it was
it does.
I guess it does. And what about the student loan forgiveness plan? You remember the cash for votes scheme? That goes before the Supreme Court in weeks. And if he gets his way, he will spend more than $1 trillion forgiving student loan debt and do so without congressional approval. He'll be blowing up the debt like it's Nord Stream 2. And the people paying for it will be those who played by the rules, the people who paid their debts and managed to do so without asking for handouts. Talking about the middle class, who Joe claims to champion before he sacrifices them on the altar of the woke. Joe, what do you have to say for your brother?
No, look, I don't know about this stuff. I mean, I didn't even know I had a brother. I can't keep track of this stuff. I mean, he's Jim Biden, I'm Joe Biden. He's younger, but I'm better looking. It's not a joke. Not a joke. And then there's Frank Biden. Nobody talks about him. I mean, he's another brother. Then there's Barack Obama, my brother from another mother. That is a joke, by the way. You know what the joke is? He never liked me.
Let's welcome tonight's guest. Her swear jar could pay off everyone's student debt. Outnumbered co-host Emily Campagno. He hails from across the pond and talks a bit like James Bond. Best-selling author and Fox News contributor Douglas Murray. She's like a bag of popcorn, light, salty, and can fit in the microwave. Fox News contributor Kat Timpf. And Finally, his lunchbox came from the Container Store. My massive sidekick in the NWA World Heavyweight Champion, Tyrus. Emily, you claim to be a lawyer. I have not seen proof, but we'll go with it for this show. We needed a lawyer. So he's denying this guy, Jim, never heard of him. What do you make of this? Try to boil this entire thing down using your legal background in 30 to 45 seconds.
I will say the most salient points that viewers need to understand is that over 8 years ago now, 7, 8 years ago, actually, well, prior to that, years in past, the brother of the then sitting vice president was employed for a private contract issue with the government of Saudi Arabia. And that dispute was over $140 million. And when it was settled, how it was settled was they said, well, we're just going to award you numerous future contracts. So what do you think all the participants got? They obviously got a cut.
Right.
And at that time, the director of enforcement of the U.S. Treasury Department interviewed Jim Biden in his home. Do you think average Americans get that honor? Do you think they get the pleasure of being interviewed by the director of enforcement at the U.S. Treasury Department in the comfort of their own living room, and then have 8 years pass where no one hears about it? The only reason we're hearing about this now is because, thank goodness, for House Oversight Committee Chair James Comer, who has this affidavit in his possession and all of these files that are exposing the fact that for years now, which we already knew, this Biden family has been capitalizing on their name to the tune of millions and millions of dollars, including China that you mentioned earlier, and sacrificing national security and sovereignty. And I hope for once there will be accountability, and my faith is in the House GOP-led.
Very good. Well done. Just one follow-up question. What exactly is an affidavit? I mean, isn't it just a piece of paper? Why do you have to keep saying affidavit?
Because it means that you've sworn that it to be true. It's almost like a written oth. Like holding up your hand in court, it's the same thing, like a sworn testimony on a piece of paper.
See, this is
like when you pinky swear.
Yeah. Yeah.
In your case, that's not a pinky.
No.
All right, Douglas. It always seems to me the more you hear about the Biden family, the more it's all the stuff they accuse the Trump family of doing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You're always kind enough when you introduce me to mention that I'm a migrant,
Yes.
a legal migrant,
Yes.
I suppose, but
Yeah.
but a migrant nonetheless.
Are you
Always,
staying for free in any hotel?
I'd love to. They never offer it.
But that's because if you weren't, it'd be really weird that you talked like that.
There's so many things.
Just
I could
saying.
say. Anyhow, but you always remind everyone of that. But I just want to, for once, I'll refer to it myself. There is a scandal going on in my country of birth today. There is a politician who charged the taxpayer £100 that they shouldn't have charged the taxpayer. It's huge.
It is.
It's a meltdown in Westminster. Now, I say this because we are so used in America to corruption on a gargantuan scale. Like most other countries, most other democracies, literally governments fall over somebody put in for a Twix that they charged the taxpayer for, and then off they go. And only in America have we put up with a situation where the first family is routinely involved in deals worth millions and millions of dollars. A kind of corruption that is just not common, and we've become used to.
It's 100 pounds is $18.
And 6 shillings, something like that. Yeah.
Yes. Well, did you ever have to sweep a chimney when you were a kid?
I practically grew up in a chimney.
I'm sorry.
That's how I earned my way to come to America.
I loved you and Oliver.
Thank you very much.
Lisa.
Yes. Kat, were you infuriated by this news, confused by this news, or jaded by this news?
Like a little bit of jaded and also infuriated because, as you say, this is par for the course. It's like, oh wow, people in power are abusing it to benefit themselves. But it's the thing about Biden, which you mentioned, Greg, it's the fact that he talks all the time about how, the wealthy need to pay their fair share and all this other stuff. And it's like, listen, while you are getting rich and making your family rich, you are making it very difficult for me to get rich. I'm serious. Like the amount in taxes, and then the money they leave you with is worth so much less. Like I don't even need $140 million of Saudi oil money or whatever. I would like to buy an apartment like that with more than a couple rooms in it would be really nice in the city where I work. That's not possible.
That'll be 140 million.
Exactly, right. Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, you know, I don't have any Saudi oil money. So, you know, like what's my fair share of the Saudi oil money? That you're just, it's crazy to me how you could know that you're doing this and then still stand up there and demonize people who want to keep the money that they earn themselves an honest way.
It is she really wants that Saudi money, Tyrus.
Yeah,
Well,
give it
never
to him.
offered me any.
Call the big guy. That's not me.
But it's this, you suddenly realize this is why Biden's got into politics, right? Because they can pull these levers that
Well, there has to be a reason why he stayed in the job for 30 years. He sucked at, so at least we now know why. But this is all a pretty red ribbon for me, Gutfeld. It ties it all together. We now know all the answers for everything that happened in the last 6 years. There was a report. All the stuff, all the peeing in beds in Russia and all the stuff that was going on and deals and all that. They handed that packet, and the Democrats just said, let's just erase that top name right there. Donald Trump. Donald Trump with it. Go. That's exactly what it was. Because everything that Trump was accused of, this dude did well. Well, no, it was sloppy. It was terrible. Everybody knew. They just switched a couple names here and there, and they can impeach everybody. So let's just, since it was probably written in pencil anyways, let's just erase it, put his name back on, and then impeach him.
It's true, actually. But you know what? The Steele dossier can't hold a candle to the Hunter laptop. Because the Hunter laptop has got the sex and it's got the money.
Okay, I told you before, he was young and innocent, and that was the camera used by the porn director. It was not his fault.
All right. I stand corrected. Or rather, I sit.